Whoa!
Oh my god.
I don't have the chat pulled up. Whoops.
Oh my god.
I also
Hello.
forgot to move the live chat thing over to the right side. So this is just we're just doing this again today.
I didn't even notice the little, like, in the starting soon, they have the little, like, the glowy balls and they get bigger and smaller as they move to the right. I love that.
Yeah, it's a fun time. And then, it's just the little thing expands the entire time until it reaches the edges, It's
I love that bit.
What can we say?
I noticed something. Can I tell you something about it?
Oh god, what did you notice?
The deep glow. Deep glow is the keyed green.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
And
I haven't been able to figure out how to
hurts a
fix
little
that. It's unfortunate.
I think you just have
morning.
to have that, like, over all the adjustment layers and stuff. Like, the adjustment layer also has to be masked to that thing.
Which it is. That's the
Which
funny
it
part.
is.
It still
Okay.
just does it anyway. It doesn't care. I don't
Thanks,
know
After
why.
Effects.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's very cool. What up, Yash? What up, Jaime? How
What's
y'all
up, Jamie?
doing? Jamie, Jaime, we've got it all covered, pronunciation-wise today.
Exactly.
Let me
It's a
get
fun pronunciation.
this pulled up. What are we talking about today, Noah? Let's just run through the list because we have 55 minutes until that thing with Monday's challenge.
True.
So, okay, first we're going to talk about motion liftoff and motion design courses in general. What are we thinking is we're about to go into our first workshop that we're hosting tomorrow.
True.
Eee, spooky, but also really exciting.
Really fun.
Then we're going to chat about how to succeed as a freelancer. Plenty going on there per somebody's chat yesterday. So that should be fun. Another one is everyone is making similar work and that's okay. Ooh, spicy. Don't tell all the studios I said that. And of course, our recommendations of the day, which I do have plenty of. So
I
There you go.
have a new one.
well, okay, but how many do you have total? Because I have 3. So
So I have
and
two
one was
videos
posted this
that-
morning.
Ooh.
I know,
Is that
I know.
the fancy coin one?
It is. It is.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but it is.
Well, I have 2 to sort of pull up during our little chat.
Hey, chat. So which number is bigger? Just to clarify, is 3 or 2?
And then I have another one.
Oh, okay. So tell me which one's bigger,
That's
3,
during our exo.
2, or 1. So, if it's in a different section, it doesn't count as a rec. So.
Oh, hold on. I just naturally found your rec on Instagram.
No.
That's cool. Okay, y'all. Stay tuned.
No.
This is cool. This is epic. I like this.
Oh, okay. We actually
What?
had it right on both counts. He says that it's Jaime for Spanish, but it's also Jamie here in the U.S.
Oops.
So there you go. Anyway, what up, Arno?
Beautiful.
How you doing? Good morning. Good morning. I've been up since 5. I had so much energy. Jackson's really gonna love all the vlog clips I got this morning. It was really
Oh my
great.
god.
They have
That's
since
it.
dwindled since I got to the office because now we're doing things, but that's okay. Anyway,
I got 4 recs total.
Oh, fuck off. Shall we get into
go.
it? Motion liftoff.
Motion liftoff.
For those
What
of you
is
that
it?
don't know,
Tell me about it, please.
it's our first workshop that we're doing. We didn't want to make an entire course where we've pre-planned all of the individual lessons that are going to be done and all of that. We like room for growth. So what we decided was, hey, how did we learn things? And it was through practical applications of just trying shit out and taking. Oh, Jackson's in the chat. That's scary.
I know, it's hilarious.
Anyway, so we learned by just doing projects. And everything that comes with that is a wonderful learning opportunity. So we figured what better way to help some freelancers out than getting a group of them together and just doing a project with us, a 45 to 60 second animation over the course of 10 weeks, going through our entire process, all of the advice and shenanigans and jokes that come along with that. And it's going to be great. So tomorrow is the first day of the first group. We've got, I think, 8 people that are joining us, so it'll be 10 of us total. And the fun part is we don't know what the project's going to be yet. We know it's a 45 to 60 second spot, but the whole idea for tomorrow's session is going to be everybody getting to know each other and all that sort of stuff, of course, so we work together well as a team. But aside from that, actually figuring out what the project's going to be for. Is it going to be spec work for some big company? Is it going to be work for a nonprofit or charity? Is it going to be for a fake TV show opener? I have no idea. It could be anything, and it's up to the group to decide as a whole. So I'm pretty excited for it. Seems like everybody in the session so far is excited. Thank you to the 8 of you for trusting us for this first go around. You're going to get the best experience out of anyone because it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be
all of the other ones are going to suck.
That's right. That's what that means.
That's what that means. So anyway, how are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about it now that everybody knows what it is?
I'm feeling darn very well excited. I would say so. I cannot wait what kind of fun creative ideas all these 8 people are gonna have. I think it's gonna be so swell to get all these creative folks all up in a little Discord and have them all start chatting to each other. I'm just really excited to see what happens.
I mean, lots of them have really, really cool looking work already too, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? Not to jump the gun immediately.
Whoa.
But I'm also excited about, like, once this is completely done, I'm very excited about, like, being able to push, being all like, seeing it everywhere, because we're going to post that everywhere. Whatever is made, it's going to be everywhere. But I'm really excited to see, like, if any of them maintain those relationships, and, like, I want to see, like, the value that we're able to provide actualized later in their careers, and I hope to be able to see that. I hope to be able to provide enough value to where I can be like, I helped them with this. That would make me feel very successful in this, and I would just absolutely adore that.
I mean, just imagine you managed to get 2 or 3 of the people in the group. They just like working together so much that they're like, yeah, we'll just like form a little collective thing, you know?
That
just start working together.
So darn cool.
Especially with how the economy is. See yesterday's episode for more on that, but you know, could be a good move. I'm just saying.
Could be a good move. Also, just making some good friends.
It's gonna be a good time because, you know, Motion's so isolated. Aside from like the Reveed server, there's really, which, by the way, the link's in the description if you want to join that. So. Anyway, besides that, like, there really aren't that many hubs of like concentrated motion design talent actively talking with each other in a not super formal way. You know, you've got like on Twitter, you've got some standouts that are like just constantly tweeting out really good advice and those sorts of things, like the Austin Sailors and the Ryan Summers of the world and that sort of thing. But it's pretty dispersed. Like, you've got your Twitter motion designer community of like the bigger industry, but then you've also got like the esports designers, and there's like hobbyists. So it's, everybody's kind of in different worlds, you know? So it's just, we're really enjoying finding ways to bring everybody together just under the guise of motion design as a whole, regardless of what they're doing with it, you know?
Darn tootin'.
But I guess what I want to talk about, aside from the course, because that wasn't intended as promo, but hey, it starts tomorrow. So if you still want to join, there's like 2 more slots or something.
You got a couple hours.
You have a couple hours left. But anyway, so let's just talk generally about how we felt about courses a little bit.
Courses
in the industry.
Honestly,
so far.
I don't know. Honestly, going into this, I will say neither of us have taken a motion designer, whatever course. We've taken our college courses, but that's very different.
It's also strong words to call those courses, but anyway,
those are fighting words.
Shade thrown.
Shade
obligatory
thrown.
Shade thrown that way. But we've never taken any like School of Motion courses or any of those standouts that people normally go through. I haven't hung out with Ben Marriott's Master Motion Design course. How are we doing it? Who's to say? How are clients trusting us without having taken either of these courses? It's crazy.
No.
I'll say, when I first learned about School of Motion, and that there were like more dedicated online motion design schools, I was still pretty surprised with the pricing on some of those courses.
I was too.
Because while it is significantly cheaper than college, and to a point where, you know, if you sell like one project after taking one of those courses, you should be able to make your money back and then some. It still seems like a lot more money out the gate than what I would have expected for a kind of like niche industry, you know?
Yeah.
But it's there's parts of the course that I think make a lot of sense. Given Noah and I are experiential people, we like just getting in there, getting our hands dirty, and so the sort of cookie cutter, like one size fits all, you need to do this, this, and this to be a successful motion designer doesn't really work super well for us. But I was also surprised to see that in some of the courses they do have, like, this week we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and just how to deal with that. I think that's in one of the School of Motion courses, which I thought was
cool.
I thought that was cool. And I know I've heard from lots of freelancers that have taken courses all over the motion design industry, and it seems like generally people are having good experiences. But I don't know.
That's a plus.
I haven't seen anybody quite do what we're gonna do with it, so hopefully it's treading new ground and not making a horrible mistake.
I've always just been a big fan of a sort of do-it-yourself learning method in a way. I don't really think there is much better ways to know things
than to just
kind of figure it out on your own. And, you know, a mentor can be great, but I think once it gets into like the course, and it's not like an experiential what we're doing, then sometimes it can be, I don't know, a lot of the learning can be a little lost. And I think it's important to not necessarily have a sort of handhold.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what really makes you stretch and grow as a learner and as a designer. I mean,
exhibit A or B, I guess, in our internship right now with Barbara, you know, we're not giving her assignments to do every day and just coming up with random stuff to be like, we think this might help you. We're just having her do scenes on client projects along with everybody else on the team, you know, and that has been, I think, monumental growth for her, both in terms of like timeline management and those sorts of things. Like lots of the stuff that you just, it's the same sort of vibe I get from, I'm glad I dropped out of school because I can't imagine, I would have been a senior this year, having to wait until after May of this year to learn all the shit that we've learned in the past 2 years, you know?
God, that would be so bad.
It would be crazy. So in the same vein, it's like, I would hate to have been like, well, we need to make sure that this person is really ready on a technical level before we actually put them into the game, you know? But then by doing that, you're hoping that you've taught them enough, first off, and then when they actually get to the intricacies of the day-to-day work, there's probably a lot more that you forgot to cover, you know? So why not just put them in there and then learn along the way instead? I mean, it would be one thing if it was just like, if you were making the play of, I run a motion design studio by myself and I'm going to bring on my first employee, but I'm going to have them be an intern first. And so you're kind of like putting a lot more pressure and workload on that person. I could then understand why you would want to like try and get as much out of the way as possible first. But I think in an environment like Ravi has now, where it's like 4 other people that can easily help this person, at the same time, there's way less pressure. And so getting to work with the actual tangible stuff that they would be doing if they were in the full-time position is a pretty easy way to get really good at the full-time position, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's very one-to-one. You just jump to what you kind of want to be doing, and you're going to be bad at it at first, and that's okay. But there's no better way to figure out exactly what you need than by not having what you need and needing it. I mean, it's just right there. You can kind of have this mentality of like, I just need to prepare like for the worst case scenario. But I think what's a little better than that is having the ability to just survive worst case scenarios, whether you're prepared or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of soft skill and that sort of like belief in yourself and underlying, I suppose, just design/animation sense is I think more important than necessarily knowing all of the tips and tricks and having gone through all these advanced courses.
Well,
because you're able to rely on yourself more than some little things that you've learned.
That's the biggest skill, is the adaptability. And availability, flexibility, and performance. No, it's the adaptability, because you're never going to be fully prepared for anything. That's a farce. It's that same thing with life, where if you just spend the whole time chasing something for your happiness, like I will be happy when I do X, Y, and Z. Sorry, dude. The fun part's actually in playing the game and continuing to live. And you will simply just change what your problems are by the time you get to the point where you've figured that thing out that you're trying to figure out, you know? So instead, figure out how you can just quickly figure out how to change something that wasn't quite working out and pivot and those sorts of things. Those soft skills are so much more valuable than being like, I finally got into a solid place in 2D, 3D, cell, and VR, AR stuff, Unreal. I don't know. I couldn't come up with another one. And then now I'm ready to be a motion designer. It's like, no. You're going to learn a lot more if you just like kind of suck at 2D and don't even know about any of the other stuff, or 3D, or vice versa. And then pick things up along the way. Because at least that way it's practical. I mean, it's I love saying this shit all the time about college. At least our experience anyway. I would so much rather be doing the thing rather than talking about doing the thing. And, you know, side note, college didn't like that for us for a variety of reasons, but one of my favorite ones was that we were actually getting penalized for going and taking client meetings instead of going to class. Sometimes, like, we'd be gone for like an hour to go take a call or something. Because, like, wait, aren't I supposed to be in this class so that I could be in the position to go take these meetings with
It's like a means to an end to get me to where I'm already going, and you guys are penalizing me for that?
You know.
Like, what message is that sending? That's so confusing.
Quite make a whole lot of sense, but I don't know. But I guess what that kind of leads us into, Noah, how do you succeed as a freelancer? How would you do that? Huh? How's that? Huh. Now, keep in mind, going into this, there is no end-all be-all to this at all. This is a very fast-moving, changing thing all the time. But there are some things that stay generally consistent, I think.
Very true. And one of those things is the importance of knowing how to price yourself.
Oh my!
Start there?
Whoa! Going with the money off the bat. Everyone wants to talk about dollar bills.
Dollar bills. That is everybody's favorite.
I need to turn this thing down. It's blinding me. There we go.
Oh yeah. I'm already blind. Can't see a single thing.
Can't see a single thing. Yet he is going to animate for Keller Williams today.
We'll see how that turns.
Guys,
it's gonna be clicking randomly.
BRB changing the title to Talking Live with a Blind Animator. How does he do it?
That would be insane. I wonder if there are any blind animators. I
think you would get so many projects from that. Can you imagine a really like highfalutin creative director at like Nike or Adidas or something? They just get to say that they had a project done by somebody who was blind, you know. Then they get that would be cool. That just does well because of the premise alone, you know. Yeah, so hey, shout out to any blind animators out there. You go, guys and gals. Proud of you. Should we probably check chat really quick before we
did get a lot of
questions and things. Some of these things I'm going to just denote as tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about it then. Okay. What are your thoughts on college/uni, specifically having a degree or diploma in motion design?
Doesn't matter.
That's it. Basically, you don't need one. We didn't look at that on any of the applications that we got for any of our positions. It doesn't. I care about what you can do and what kind of person you are, not if you went to a school and spent thousands of dollars. Yeah. You could have a bachelor's or master's in motion design or graphic design, but if your work looks like shit, I don't care what the degree says. Especially with the past few years, a lot of it just being kind of BS in the college world. I know most people that I knew whenever I was in school for all sorts of majors were simply just using Quizlet or whatever on every exam that they took. Like everything was open book. That's just how it was during COVID.
Like, so school, I mean, sweeping accusations here. School, college especially, has a lot less of a purpose in modern Western society than it did when it was more elitist, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it has become this just massively generalized thing, and it's just, for a lot of people, they just feel like they have to do it, and I was no exception. I felt like I should.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, well, that's the way to success. And in so many cases, especially in the creative industry, that's just not true.
It makes no goddamn sense.
It can be great for like finding connections and having a place to really explore and be able to mess up. But as we were talking about before, there is no place like the real world and like the working world to learn and grow as a creative. And so there's a lot of jobs and there's a lot of career opportunities that just you don't get to with college. And that's just not a very popular opinion, I think.
And if you are a college or university with a motion or graphic design program that is boldly making the move towards practical work application, we'd love to give us a call. Give us a call. We'll talk. We'd like that, because not a lot of people are doing that, and we think it's sad. But generally, I think at this point, unless it's something that you need to be licensed for, like law or medicine, those sorts of things, I think college makes sense for that, or at least some sort of schooling makes sense for that. But really, to me, college is cool as long as they're actually giving you something more than just job placement, because you could have gone to the school that we went to and got a job in graphic design or whatever, but that's just because the university knows those companies. It's not necessarily because of any like larger reason. It's kind of just like a pay to win sort of thing. Like, I paid to go to this school, so now I get job. That sounds great. I'd much rather take the route of just putting myself through the industry and then working my way from there, because I feel like there's just so much more maneuverability there, because
Absolutely.
It's like entirely built on whatever I've done, not just because Professor McGee gave me a good recommendation for this company that they've worked with for years,
Right.
Sorry, Professor McGee.
My condolences, Professor McGee. And that route isn't necessarily for everyone, but I don't know. In my personal opinion, at least for me, it's the better route, like 9 times out of 10.
I'd have to agree with that. Even if it's free, somebody in the chat said uni is free where I live. I still think if you're... Okay, well, here's the thing. A lot of people could benefit from university or college because it offers a lot of structure. You have a lot of accountability that you're held to because of just the way that system works. You have to get assignments into your professors at certain times and that sort of thing. But you could very well also just create that course for yourself, or like get projects or something, because that same accountability will definitely be there if you have somebody paying you money for something.
There is a lot of like social aspects and like the transition from like high school or whatever you call it, wherever you live.
As long as you're not a robot like me.
Right. it can be a tricky one into adulthood, and college is a kind of way to ease that in a way. But that can also like be abused in a way of being like, okay, well now you have this very nice like safety net of college, and like maybe your parents are paying for a lot of things, and that can be lure you into a sort of false sense of security. And there's a lot to think about there, but college can be really helpful in maturing as a person, and it can be a great step. But what we're saying, I think, is in a lot of creative areas, it's not necessarily a direct means to an end, and there are oftentimes better ways if you're focused on that sort of career getting to where you want to be perspective.
Agreed. I just took some of the notes down from chat as things to talk about tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow if you want to hear about learning motion or design first and the pros and cons. Thanks, Chad.
Ooh, I could talk about that forever.
Well, okay, good thing we're not doing that right now.
Someone
wake up. Says 3D is the future. Well, I have something to say to you. I can't be snarky yet. It's too early in the day.
I'm awake.
Sorry, that's unfortunate. We're awake though. Don't worry, I swear.
We're awake.
3D is scary. I admire people who do it though. It's cool. said he knows how to use cinema. No, and I don't.
What you mean 3D is the future? 3D is the present, and so is 2D. Get out of here with that.
We're all here together. Now, we can take principled stands on value graph versus speed graph, but 3D versus 2D, silliness. They each have their own purpose, and don't you dare tell me that's the same thing with speed graph and value graph, because on that, I must take an illogically principled stand.
There you go.
There is no nuance. They actually banned that yesterday, so
darn.
Unfortunate.
That blows.
So, how
it is cool to
succeed?
see. I will say just real quick, it is cool to see 3D becoming so much more accessible so widely with like web apps and all this stuff.
Thank you, web apps.
That is going to be a very key in how design trends evolve. Anyway,
agreed.
And it already has been. I mean, you can see it everywhere.
Ooh, Lakajit says Motion Liftoff workshop will be held on Wednesdays. Yes.
Yes.
But if you're not already signed up, you won't be able to buy into it because you got to be there for all 10 weeks. There you go. Anyway, how to succeed as a freelancer. Number one thing, or wait, no, you said you want to talk about pricing. Let's do that, I guess. Or
you seem like you had a path. Go ahead.
Okay. Pricing is also such a huge topic. It's hard to it's going to be hard to rein that in. But
it is. I was kind of just going to, yeah.
You think about however that applies to this. Otherwise, we'll just talk about pricing generally tomorrow as well. Anyway, to me, the number one thing is just top of mind. Top of mind games. That's what we'll call this.
Yes.
Whatever you can do to be constantly showing up online places. Exhibit YMCA. Exhibit YMCA. The better, you know? People aren't going to know you exist unless you're posting shit online. If you want to be making the kind of money that a lot of the studios in this space are making money, or that the higher end freelancers are making. None of them are doing that by only working with local companies. It's just not happening. It's the smart move to be using social media to its fullest and posting things when you can. You don't want to be spamming people, and you don't want to be making meaningless content that doesn't give value or benefit anybody. But you're an artist. Post the shit that you're making. What? It's like the easiest thing. And I realize that in saying that, a lot of people will be like, but I can't come up with ideas, which is a whole other problem. But also,
yes, you can.
You totally can, because I did. Okay, not to. It's a different thing, but like, I wouldn't have known how to continue making the loops for all like 26 weeks or whatever that it was. Past like the 8th one or something, I didn't just have like a bank of ideas of like inspiration all of a sudden. I had to like force myself to sit down for an hour every week and be like, I have to have an idea within this hour, because that was the restriction I put on myself, you know? So there's like all sorts of ways to come up with that sort of stuff, but really like it's showing that you can do the work. So putting out whatever you can, and that doesn't have to be client projects. If anything, show the kind of work that you want to be doing. There's so many people that are unhappy in this industry because they're doing shit that like they keep getting hired for, these like corporate videos or whatever that they don't want to do. And I'm like, then stop posting corporate videos. Stop posting that. Post shit that you want to be doing so that people will come to you for that instead. We get to make fun, snappy, zippy stuff because we posted that for the better part of a year.
That's right. And I have a little piece of advice about coming up with ideas. Let yourself be bored. Just like turn everything off. Give it a couple hours. Give it 15 minutes, even 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you're really feeling saucy, give it a day. Sometimes I just will put my phone away for an entire day.
Yep.
But like, let yourself be bored, because and it might sound a little preachy, but in this world of like so much constant dopamine and so many things to do and look at all the time, like that doesn't give your mind the proper rest. It needs to be creative. I think that's a big part of creativity, is you have to let your mind like kind of soak in its own juices in a way.
Yum.
It's got to marinate a little. And that's why it's sometimes easier to like think really hard on an idea, and then the next day it's super clear, like because your brain thought about it when you were sleeping. That's a real thing. Let yourself just be bored. Maybe you have a soundtrack, just play it over and over and over again. Get really bored, because you'll come up with something. I guarantee it'll be shocking.
It's true.
You'll come up with shit. It's just like,
you'll be surprised with how many ideas you can come up with when you listen to the same track from Artlist 20 times over and over and over and over again. Eventually you feel like you're in that world and you can like envision what that looks like, you know? That's what Noah and I do for every single video, is take whatever the audio is or the scratch VO or those sorts of things and just listen over and over and over again, eyes closed, just kind of like, oh yes, I can see this and this and this, and we look fucking nuts, but it works. So,
and I will say, yesterday I was in the gym. I was concepting for a little piece of motion I was gonna do. I looked insane. I was sitting there with my iPhone with the Notes app open, drawing on it, closing my eyes, and being like,
"This is the way the motion goes." Yes, I see it.
People were like, "Is this person doing a back day or literally losing their mind? What is happening?" I looked crazy. I was directing an invisible orchestra, and it was great, and I came up with great ideas. It's just, you know, it was lovely. I was a little bored, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
Also, we have a quick joke in the chat.
I know.
By Barbara.
Thank you.
Why
Barbara.
do bees have sticky hair? Because they use honeycombs.
Is that gonna be a new segment? Joke of
Hilarious.
the day. Barbara's joke of the day.
That is hilarious. Barbara, if you can keep that up, it's a segment.
Yep. Please make that happen. Thank you, Barbara.
Or if you wake up, also says Gradient Phil is the president.
Oh my God.
Damn right, and
Of course
it's a great transition. If you want to transition already. Ready.
Oh, yes. We can talk more about other ways to succeed as a freelancer in subsequent episodes. But
Just
for
let us
now,
know.
stay
Comment or
top of
something.
mind with people.
That's
Reach out.
That's our big tip.
There you
That's our
go.
big key to success as a freelancer. Stay top of mind.
Unlocked.
Post some cool stuff.
Post cool shit. Make cool shit. Have fun times.
Make connections. Talk to people.
There you go. Very simple
There you
steps. Hey, you could do it in like an hour. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, come on.
Now on to Gradient Fill. Ourselves included, everyone is making similar looking work. But I think that's totally fine. Honestly.
Yeah.
If anything,
it's kind of cool.
I really see no problem with it. Here's let me just set the scene for you. Okay?
Good. Set the scene.
You've got a lot of motion designers at this point for a while. This is just like my first basis of why I feel like at least things are better now. Think like 2013 to, or maybe even like 2011 to 2015 motion design. Kind of a dark period. As someone who used to look through lots of reels and stuff, every time one of those years showed up, it was always the same cartoony ass, like corporate Memphis looking minimalist character with these like really muted colors, and everything had to be like, it wasn't actually like realistically shaded stuff, but for whatever reason, every asset within a scene had to actually be like really detailed. So you'd go into Illustrator, everything would be flat shaded, but you would have like a building that actually has like 150 windows on it as a skyscraper. And it's like, okay, why are we doing this? Now we're in a fun minimalist, but also maximalist era. Okay. You get rather abstract shapes and forms and cool compositions and things. But then instead of just using gradients as these wacky, fun assets or whatever, it's just people making semi 3D things by using gradients as lighting. It just brings everything together in such a nice way. I mean, we're in the Orb gang with Ordinary Folk. Can't say that, like, I mean, obviously we were inspired by their stuff. Noah and I used to look at every video that they put out as it was happening while we were starting Ruby, you know? And a lot of other studios were doing the same. And now we're all kind of becoming gradient boys together.
It's beautiful.
But I think that's fine. A lot of people are really like, no, but like we need to make the most unique thing, and like we really need to push the limits. And we talked all about award winning yesterday, which you should go and listen to because oh my god, that's just frustrating. But to me, I'm not searching for making the most unique visual style for every project at this point. The secret sauce of Ruby is that we can make motion that feels good. We can make content that feels good together, and whatever the design looks like, we'll still make it look good because, you know, we want to do that, but it's somewhat secondary. Wouldn't you agree? It really is more just about that, like, it's that dance of the video and the concepting more than anything else. I think like some of the lack of variety in design styling is leading to a bigger renaissance of like concepting in these really abstract ways, which to me is more interesting than everybody just doing the same like three animations over and over again, but reskinned, you know?
Absolutely. And I think what you're sort of pointing to with our sort of style is that we have that solid foundation of design, which is of course very important.
Yeah.
But like our compositions necessarily aren't the most complex things. And that's okay because our motion comes in and allows those semi-simple compositions, or however complex it gets, to really shine and
Right.
to like live its full life. You know what I mean?
Well, and a lot of the motion itself is like wow factor after wow factor in terms of speed and like sleekness and whatever, so that those simple
keep it quick.
compositions help in that process, because you're not having to take in an entire like really detailed illustrated scene. It's more just like, no, I understand this at like a general level, you know. It's not information overload.
And I think what's really interesting is like, in a way, in this like kind of niche space, you can see a lot of the MoGraphy stuff in this interesting, very gradient world. But what I'm noticing also is that like before, there wasn't really a baseline. It was kind of unorganized. People were just kind of doing whatever, and a lot of times whatever was like kind of gross. And now I think that we're all kind of coming together and creating this sort of design baseline, design motion baseline that the industry's like kind of innovates on. Like you can take a couple examples here if you want to switch to my screen.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I don't know why that didn't translate to words for me.
Yes. Like the Furrow put out this piece on synths, and Ordinary Folk put out this piece for DSO.
It kind of feels like it could live in a similar universe, you know?
They both be living kind of in that gradient, like, but they're all innovating in some really interesting kind of niche ways, and I think that's what's really allowing them to feel unique and interesting. And then not even to mention that the motion is fantastic and also very different. And so I'm going to play a little bit of this as I'm talking. But like, they use so many interesting little techniques, and they blend a bunch of different like kind of subtle styles, but yet we have this baseline here of like these gradients and the smooth motion and these geometric shapes. And it still feels very fresh. I like that a bunch.
Yeah.
And so we can skip around through it. Great stuff. They utilize 3D a lot more than some other seemingly 2D based. It's great stuff. Fantastic work. And then we go over to the Furrow, and we still have these strong gradients and these shiny shapes, but it's in a very different context. And they're mixed with these like solid little glitchy guys, and the gradients now have like more grain on them, and the shapes move in more interesting kind of abstract ways.
And I think most of this is pointing towards just motion design as a whole is evolving in a good way.
It really is.
Let's just set the scene a little bit in terms of like, you know, there's lots of competition within the industry in some ways, especially with people like, I want to get like this award this year. I want motionographer to feature me, like that sort of shit. But in the grand scheme of advertising, motion design to a lot of people is still viewed as like the cartoony thing for kids, you know, from a lot of like older generations. And so
like, I literally got that last week. I was like, I do motion design, I do animation for advertising. So
like you animate characters, you do like cartoons and stuff.
I'm like, I wish I could just show you this.
We've all experienced that, you know? And it's hard to explain like what motion design is, especially when you're working in like that group of studios that's using shapes and gradients and stuff. It's like hard to explain what that is, other than like, you've seen an ad like this on TV or the internet before. So this sort of renaissance of this particular style, I think, is maturing motion design as a whole in two really good ways. So in the first way, it helps make it feel like it's for a much more mature audience. It feels more premium than just like, hey, look at our cartoon characters with their flat shading. That, you know, you can get most of that stuff has shifted down to like Fiverr and that area of motion. But a lot of the like top dollar stuff is now able to reach like, hey, I'm a business. COVID already kind of shook my faith in live action because it was like you couldn't do a live shoot anywhere. Motion design got a really big boost from that. And you're like, wait, this stuff is also cheaper? And you're telling me
This is a real solution.
You're telling me I can have things happen here that are like, it's just so wondrous because it can't happen in a camera. Like I can explain things in these really intricate ways that like otherwise would be relatively difficult or kind of boring because you just have someone talking to the camera and using stock footage or whatever. Like, don't get me wrong, there are fantastic ways to tell stories with live action, but like motion design is becoming a real solution for a lot of these companies that otherwise would have just completely passed it up before. That's why you're seeing all of the big brands you can think of using it in some way. And as we're getting into more of this like brand film space, now you're able to get some of the beauty and cinematography that you would get with a live action piece of content or 3D or whatever, in a new way. Like this feels like it's one holistic premium piece of content that a business would be proud to put out. It doesn't feel like, it feels like it can lead the charge as opposed to in the past, it was probably like a secondary asset compared to their main push they were getting with some live action studio or something, you know?
Right.
We're all kind of really on the same team in this regard. And
beautiful to see it mature.
I mean, eventually this styling will be like, you know, it'll become too standard. Everybody's doing it. And so there will be some other shift. I mean, you're seeing a lot of the like collage neo-brutalist stuff coming back again.
And I mean, you're seeing like already so much variation within the style. Like people are obviously like already trying to push it and explore. Like,
right.
This is very different than how you normally see it in a lot of little subtle ways. I think it's those mixing of all these little details that really like let this sort of stuff shine and still remain pretty darn unique, even if it is generally similar shapes and similar colors and similar gradients and similar motion even.
Absolutely. So case in point, everyone is making similar work, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
It's a good thing.
They're also not.
It's helping it be more nuanced, I guess.
Yeah.
And
building a good foundation.
Overall, propelling motion design forward in a way that it just has not been before. It's being taken more seriously, while also being in a recession and blah, 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 and all that stuff we talked about yesterday. But hey, look, happy joy. Isn't that fun? That's fun.
That's fun.
Shall we chat about something in the chat for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see.
Is there something that you want to chat about specifically?
Well, maybe that's something that will take a little bit longer, but somebody says, how did you guys land your first few clients? Were they local?
Nah.
Not local?
Oh, wait. One of them kind of was.
Ezra V? Oh, well.
Andre.
Yeah, but I don't think that was because we were in Raleigh.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think so either.
Unless that like geotagging on Instagram really worked.
Did I? I don't even remember if I did that then, though.
I don't think you did.
It could have been totally random. But our first client was actually this YouTuber that I basically all encompassing. It was word of mouth. I had freelanced for a while before working with Noah and Chris, one of the other co-founders for V originally. And so I had some connections from that, which meant that our budgets were really, really small because it was the same budgets that normally would have gone to just one person being split for three, but whatever. So like that's kind of how we started. Was I had a YouTuber that I worked with that I did a rebrand for when I was like 15 or something that came back during COVID and was like, hey, so I actually want to start this like remote fitness company with some of my friends. Like, can you guys do characters? And all of us were like, no. And they also needed like full branding and whatever. But we were like, we can try and figure it out though. So we went through like this whole process of making these like really minimalist characters and things. And we animated this character doing like 36 different workouts. Okay. It was a real pain in the ass, but we got there and we learned a lot of stuff with that. And then by that point, we really, our only goal was just, can we get one project we've all done together so we can put that in a reel with other stuff that we've already made. And so once we got that reel put together, it was like, all right, we're off to the races. And so we just put that reel out on social everywhere. And then within like a month got an agency reaching out to us, a small agency also here in Raleigh. I really don't know if it was because it was local or not, but they one of their clients is Toshiba, and so they wanted to work with us on mixing some live action with our motion stuff, and that was that. And then from there, you know, like it's word of mouth, and it's word of mouth in two ways. It's the actual clients recommending other people that they know to us, which happens quite a lot, but there's also a lot of the time where it's just us shouting into the universe, hey, we also did this thing. We also do work like this. Did you guys know? Because as soon as we posted the work that we did that was that mixture of live action and motion, the next like 3 or 4 big projects that we got, unsurprisingly, were all very, very similar in terms of here's a bunch of live action interview footage followed by a motion section. We had that like a couple more times, and then like we started putting out some different work, and we got more of that type of work. And it's just like this self-feeding thing. You just have to have the guts to tell the world like, hey, I did this thing. Do you guys also want this thing? Maybe? And / will you pay some doubloons for it? Is that cool?
Would you care to part with some doubloons?
And then hopefully somebody goes, yes, I would like that. That would be really great. Can I have that thing? And then you go, yes, as long as they don't suck and have enough money. And that's it.
That's right.
It's just that simple, you know? But the caveat of all of that is you have to make good work. So put out stuff that you're proud of. And
that you would want to do again.
Exactly. Don't put out shit that you don't like, because otherwise people will just come to you for the stuff you don't like, and then you'll hate it even more. So
there you go.
Like inadvertently, a lot of the client work that we were doing for a while was like really corporate stuff, and we didn't stop posting it because of like us not being proud of it or whatever, even though that was happening behind the scenes in some ways. We just like had to wait too long to be able to post them. So that's part of the reason that the loop started, is because I was like, I wanted to show like the stuff that we could do, but also like I needed this outlet for this thing. And then very quickly it was only posting the loops because they were doing so much better than any of the corporate stuff we were posting. Because surprise, surprise, who wants to be on Instagram looking at ads when they already have to see ads all over Instagram? So if you just post like the stuff that is coming from your creative brain rather than like, here's this ad I made for this company and here's free advertising for them, then more people will come around.
Incredible how that works.
Which sounds obvious, but we just didn't put 2 and 2 together for a really long time.
We have about 9 minutes left.
Rec time.
It's rec time.
It's rec time. For those of you that don't know, because I've gotten a lot of questions about this for some reason, when we say recs, we mean recommendations. This is our daily recommendations of cool motion work.
Cool motion design. Obviously, first, I'm just going to go ahead and recommend Welcome to Synth by The Furrow. It is, in my opinion, one of the best pieces of motion.
Just ever?
Probably ever. Okay. I love this thing so much.
There you go, Seth.
Sound.
Big praise.
I just love this thing. I don't know what it is. It's just, it scratches a special little itch in my head. I just absolutely adore
fabulous, isn't it?
And of course, a new Ordinary video. Always a classic. The one by Deso. It's on Behance. Check it out.
Because just look at those gradients in that scene. Are you kidding me? Come on.
It is so shiny.
Yum.
Are you ready? You ready for this scene? You ready for this scene?
Yeah.
This is one of the best scenes I think Ordinary Folk ever did.
Boom.
Boom. Boom. Incredible. I love it.
Magical.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Greg.
It's just satisfying. Thank you, Greg.
Very cool. You said you had
while I have the screen, I do have 2 more quick recs.
Two more recs. Oh my god.
This one's from I found this one in Good Moves.
Wow, cheater.
You can't hear it, but I think that this one's just really unique in its use of textures, and the
cool
voiceover
fonts.
I think fits it really interesting. This one's just real interesting, and I love all the techniques that are being used here. It's real impactful, and the voiceover does it such justice.
A beauty.
So check that one out. And then finally, one more little one.
Dun 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 dun.
This music video.
That's probably a good thing we don't have audio on that one then.
Yes. It's just cute. I love it. It's pretty. It's adorable.
Somebody absolutely could have gone to whoever this was and said, like, can you make it kind of like this style? And it really looks like some of the loops.
A little bit. And like, it's nothing too crazy. A lot of the motion's pretty slow, but it feels good, and it's a strong piece, and I think it's really underappreciated. This is the, I think, official music video, and it's got 68 likes. Like, that's a tragedy. It's got 1K views.
There's so many really good music videos like that. Like that Lover Automatic video only has like
what?
1,500
That's
views
gonna
or
be my
something,
rec tomorrow.
Hey,
oh my god.
Nah, you can't do that. Hey.
That's so my rec tomorrow.
What the fuck ever.
Thank you.
All right, fine. I'm taking the screen. It's my rec time.
All right, take
it's
it away.
Rec time. Oh, just kidding. That's Discord. One moment till rec time.
I'm going to message you my recs in case you want to put them in the chat.
All right. Boom. Here we are, Rec City. This first one is from Kai Webb. Some of you may know Kai. Very lovely fellow. He made this spec work for these TV idents a little while ago. And it's just all around a fun time. So we're just going to take a peek. It's got fun textures on it. Oh, and this part of the sound. It's just fun. I love the treatment on top of these like pieces of footage and stuff. Really makes it feel like it's all part of one thing.
Just fun.
It just feels like something you would expect to see if you were watching TV in VR or something, you know? It's cool. I like it. Thank you, Kai. Very cool.
Very swell.
This
like
one,
it.
throwback. One of Noah and my favorite videos of all time. Kirash.
Waiting for it to show up.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Amazing. Just
this video.
And he just used the Snapchat like notification sound at the end, which I love. But like the sound design all together, and it's just fun shapes. It's like a fun. It's a fun like, concept.
So well.
It's so squishy. It's squishy chess. It's so fun. There's like little effects on everything. It's just such a good time.
It feels so tactile.
Love this thing.
It's got such a little story. I love that.
It took way too long for Noah and I to just reach out to the person that made this. I don't know why that.
I don't know why.
That's like our mode of communication now. Is we're just like we see something we like and we're like, all right, got to hit that person up. But
that person.
Before it was kind of like, oh, like maybe we could reach out to that person. We were just so much more apprehensive back then for some reason.
I love that one.
And then my final rec that was posted this morning by Danny Stern.
Final rec.
I guess I'm just on a cell kick or something, but just like, I couldn't do that. Are you kidding me? That just looks cool. It's probably got some sound on it. Nope, no sound. Sorry guys, but also just what a nice transition. It's just so fun. It's very cool. Danny's a wonderful motion designer. Everybody knows it, as you can see by the 400 likes in 3 hours. But you know, he's cool.
That's just very cool.
Good recs, everybody. That was
great
fun.
recs. Get wrecked.
Well, I guess what are we gonna talk about tomorrow then? What do we have on the docket?
One design or motion first.
Which one should you learn?
Which
what are the pros and cons?
What's happening with all that?
Pricing
debate there.
We can talk about studios and freelancers and just like our philosophy and what the hell that's like.
And especially tune in towards the end because I have one of my favorite recommendations of all time. Again, we're just going for it. I have another fantastic one.
If you're not careful,
you're gonna need to see it. You're gonna need to see it.
If you're not careful, I'm gonna pull out the Yambo and Tendril stuff.
Don't you dare pull out
I just might. You can't stop me.
All right.
But anyway.
Well, that's the show, y'all.
That's the show. Tomorrow. Thanks for hanging. Come back for episode 3 tomorrow. And go animate some shit.